You know a lot of boys in Beanstown. CT, Danny Life, and Jaleesi boy. We up right now, locking up your Saturday. Tell your bookie send my payment. Lot of opinions, but we only care about one statement. It's Boston Eddie Cappers, yeah. It's Boston Eddie Cappers, yeah. It's Boston Eddie Cappers, yeah. It's Boston Eddie Cappers.
Welcome into the Monday opener. That's right. It's back. The Monday opener here. I am your host, Dan Lifshats, with my partners in crime, CT Betts and Mr. Julian Edlow of DK Network. Our guest this week, of course. Jules, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Never had you here before.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It must be a great guest. You guys ask me back all the time. I'm flattered.
Seriously. And of course, my co-host, CT Betts. What's going on, CT?
Partner, good to be back in the saddle after the holidays and gearing up here. Semifinals this week in college and wild card weekend for the NFL. So a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we got a ton to talk about. Got a couple comments here. Ross coming in. Welcome back, boys. Titan CT, our guy, always checking in as well. First
Load it to the
show,
gills, Ross.
That's right. Let's load it to the gills. First show of 2026. It was a very nice way to end 2025. We did very, very well. That's right. Our guy John McGrath finally made it on time. Sure did, John. Good job. But yeah, we had a hell of a week. Almost had an unbelievable week if Tyler Loop just doesn't fucking choke on whatever you wanted to talk about. Probably a dick. I don't know what else he could have possibly choked on there. But my God, that kick, not even close. We'll talk about that coming up. But yeah, let's talk about our Viva thoughts of the week. A really good week for all of us. And of course, this is brought to you by VIVA. Jules.
Yeah, I got that somewhere around
Yeah,
here. This Monday opener, look, I'm quick, of the Boston Handicappers Network is brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer with only 88 calories and 4.5% ABV. Viva Tequila Seltzer is the most refreshing seltzer out there. Clean, light, and dangerously drinkable. Made with real tequila and bold flavors like huckleberry, grapefruit, my favorite jalapeno. Viva pairs perfectly with a winning ticket and some football. We still got that sale going on right now. You can get 30% off all orders at vivatequilaseltzer.com using code BOS30 at checkout. That is code BOS30 at checkout. 30% off. Pretty solid right there. Viva. Live long, live well, live it up. Viva. I can tell you guys over the holidays, and I got a nice special delivery from Viva at my front door from Santa. Ooh. It was very nice.
Very nice.
I'm full a lot over the holidays. You eat a lot. Vivas are nice. You can't do the beers and stuff all the time with that. Viva was a nice little compliment to my big fat belly over the holidays.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Little chicken and beer and then some Viva on the side. I like that shit.
I didn't have any. Well, I did have some chicken and some beer. I don't know if I had them together.
Steak?
Good Ludacris album, though.
It was like the never-ending 2 weeks, really. Like I said to Amanda this morning, I'm like, I've never been so happy to go back to work today.
The way those landed with the Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve on a Wednesday, dead smack middle of the week, is like a full 2 weeks of just like
literally
all over the place.
Because you have the holidays, and then all of a sudden it's the weekend again, and you're back at it.
Yeah, and then it's a little Monday, Tuesday, like, oh, I'll get a couple things done for work, and then you're right back in it. That was quite the span.
I fucking loved it. I loved it. I don't know how you got. Well, I didn't sleep. So yeah, just to give the formal announcement, Lifshat's family now has 2 children. So that's where we are. Two kids. That's why I've been so fucking crazy. That's why we didn't have shows for a couple weeks, because Daddy Lifshat's was not sleeping and had to take care of everyone else. So there you go. My fault. You can blame it on me. Anyways, we can now officially announce that since my wife has decided it is okay. So about time. Anyways,
congratulations, partner.
Yeah, everyone's so happy. Everyone's doing well. Lovely stuff. So
good.
Let's get right back into it though. Let's talk about our thoughts of the week, just in terms of the actual football. I'll lead off today because usually I start with you guys. Also, I'm going to lead off today. My thought of the week was I was very right about some things and very wrong about others. I thought Texas Tech would fucking steamroll Oregon. And we saw how poor that Oregon offense was against that Texas Tech defense. I mean, the fact that they basically didn't do anything. The one touchdown basically they scored until the end of the game was hand delivered to them by the Texas Tech offense. They basically held them to 9 points. It was
nine.
Yeah, it honestly was a pretty solid defensive game plan by Texas Tech. I have no complaints about what they did, and that's kind of what I thought and kind of what I expected. I thought, this would be the type of game that Texas Tech can win both ways. They can win a defensive battle or they can win an offensive battle. And boy, was I wrong about the offensive battle. That's the worst offense I've ever seen in a college football playoff game. James Madison had a better offensive output, a far better offensive output than fucking Texas Tech. Sad days for the Big 12. God, that conference sucks. On the other hand, nailed Indiana. Never a game. Wasn't competitive. Nailed that one. And did nail Ole Miss as well. I mean, winning that game in that fashion. Crazy game. Really good game. One score game. As kind of thought it would be back and forth. Really fun game to watch. I think that was definitely obviously the game, until week 18. But fuck yeah. Awesome game. That was what we deserved the playoffs. So really good game. And Lane Kiffin, maybe a net negative for that fucking Ole Miss team. So move on over to you.
Yeah, I'll do college as well. And hand up, Dan was right this year. I was totally wrong. Ohio State was not as good as I thought, or as good as a lot of people thought in the country. The stage was a little too big for the freshman. I guess you could call him a freshman, right? Julian's saying. Stage was too big, and they came out too flat. The game plan was horrible by Ryan Day. The play calling was awful. I will say this, that pick six was the game, and let's see if you guys know whose fault that pick six was, because shockingly, it wasn't Julian Sayen's fault.
Whose fault was it?
It was Jeremiah Smith's fault.
That's the receiver.
That's a stack play right there, and he missed his guy. He missed the block for the guy coming in who had the clear pick six. Yes, Julian Sayen should have been a little bit aware, but if you go back and you watch it, Smith is just in outer space, totally misses it, and just runs downfield. That was his guy. That was his fault right there. That was the game changer. They still had a shot to win it. That sucks, missing that field goal at halftime right there, because 14-3 is a lot different than 14-0 at halftime, especially because they come out and they drive down the field and they score. That's a 14-10 game there. A lot different than 14-7. I was wrong on New Year's Eve. I was really right on New Year's Day. Swept the board on New Year's Day. And not to mention threw in Iowa on New Year's Eve day. Just continue to be right about that fucking team year in and year out. It just matters for Kirk Ferentz. It's wild how he could just get all these kids just fucking bought in all the time. Everyone plays. Want to destroy Diego Pavia. He's down there acting like an asshole all week. I told you guys that. You guys hopped on with me. And Kirk just continues to dominate bowl games. Just love that fucking team. Love it.
All right, Jules, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I whiffed on the college football playoff games. I'll give my thoughts on those when we move on to the next round and obviously discuss those games. Only regret is not seeing it all the way with Indiana. I thought Bama would have a chance. I leaned to Bama when we did the show, you and I, Dan. That was the game that I didn't really play out of the four. But it's my biggest regret because that was just a one-way avalanche, and I should have been on that, and I wasn't. So I'll save the college football playoff stuff.
Okay.
The only thing that I'll add, though, and yes, the pick six was in a lot of ways the game. That game could have been a lot different, Miami and Ohio State. I'll give CT a little bit of credit back in terms of it's not just Ohio State. And yeah, Sayen was bad. Ohio State's not, nearly as good as they were last year. They're a very, very good team. They're not nearly as good as they were last year. Some of this is just that Miami is good. And I keep going back to like preseason and October and being like, people were talking about Miami or Ohio State, best team in the country. Miami has, some dumb losses. They should have beat SMU. That was a ref thing.
Cristobal. It was also a Cristobal thing.
Cristobal and ref thing.
Yep.
Louisville, they just crapped their pants and lost a game. That happens.
Terrible. They were,
but
does happen.
Miami on the whole, like they have it. They're a really good team, and they deserve to be in this Final Four. And a lot of people felt that way in October. They just lost a couple of really one dumb game, the SMU one. And, if they're 11-1, we never have that drama of the college football playoff. And we're talking about them maybe having a bye and talking about them winning the Natty, and they're right here. So I just think you also need to credit Miami for being really good. NFL side, it was nice throwing some of those huge favorites, those double-digit favorites all covered. It was nice using some money lines, some double results, pair some stuff together.
Not so fast, pal. Houston Texans, no cover.
Oh, Texans were the one that didn't cover. They all
low Colts.
They all
Colts
won. Congratulations on your Colts points.
Well,
I didn't.
The closing number for the Texans didn't win.
Yeah.
Won.
My vested interest
was it early? Was it 7 early in the week?
It was 7
early. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My vested interest in that game was Houston to win so that I could push my Colts under 8.5 win. Which is
I forgot you had that.
Yeah, that's bonkers. I put some under 10.5 in season, some missed playoffs in season. My stubbornness paid off thanks to the injury of Daniel Jones. But my whole week, I can only think about the Tyler loop kick. I had that game in a box. That would have been a 5-0 game for me if that kick goes through the uprights. Ravens division preseason, Ravens division in season, Steelers under 9.5 wins. Yep. Pittsburgh with the points. Pittsburgh tees to 10. That goes 5-0 if the kick goes through. Instead, it goes 2-3. Ugh. That's all that's on my mind.
Let's get to the comments. Let's talk about that game, Jules. So I was in the same situation with that too. I had Pittsburgh no playoffs, Baltimore to win the division, Pittsburgh under 9.5, Baltimore money, Baltimore to win the division, I think, and then obviously Pittsburgh plus 3.5 plus 4. I didn't tease them, and fucking Tyler Loop. Now we did on the same token, we did hit the middle on the Saints. I mean, CT and I had
was phenomenal.
Ravens or Falcons over 7.5, very big, and
which by the way, I have to interject this.
Yep.
The last time the Falcons lost and the last time the Jets won before losing every game down the stretch by 23 or more points was the Jets beating the Falcons by 3. If the Falcons beat the Jets, they win the division. Yep. The Jets have the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yep.
All up in smoke.
And again, CT and I bet the Jets that weekend too. Wish we had known we would bet a fucking way.
Yeah,
bigger.
Congrats. I wish that one didn't come through for you.
I mean, I 100% agree. I'm a little devastated about that. But yeah, also did hit the no Bucks playoff because of that too, which was Atlanta money line. So I mean, look, it was great to hit that middle. Saints 3.5. I had a shitload of Saints 3.5 and 4 and 4.5 at the end there. I bought a little 4.5. I should have teased it. Didn't tease it.
Seahawks on Saturday. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, didn't even talk about that.
That was my biggest NFL play of the year so far.
Me too. I thought, the Seahawks on Saturday was fucking phenomenal. Not a competitive game. I don't think that is a representation of what the Niners are, by the way, to be perfectly fair. Yeah, they're going to be much better in the playoffs. So, but a lot. Well, let's get to the comments here. Great weekend, Pittsburgh. That was right. Pittsburgh did hit. Thank you the congratulations. Yeah, John, thank you as well. I appreciate the kind words from everyone. Yeah, yes, Caveman. Congrats. Yeah, a lot of congrats. I appreciate everyone. Connor is correct. My planning does suck. I apologize for that. Absolutely brutal planning right in the smack dab in the middle of the fun season. So, I do agree with that. So I appreciate everyone saying thank you. Caveman did say Morton just fucking pissed himself. I agree. Morton was terrible in that game.
He was inept.
So was the OC for Texas.
The play calling was also
the play calling was bad, but Morton had the Sayin thing where, again, and I said it earlier this year, when Sayin gets pressure, that the fucking feet move. He is a fucking pussy, and he is terrified of pressure. Well, Morton showed the exact same thing, if not worse than Sayin, just the night before. It's crazy. Honestly, they might have been better off with Hammond, which is absolutely crazy about that. Titan CT checking in. I was way wrong about Bama. I told you guys that Bama team was not good. They played one good half against Oklahoma. Well, maybe 3 good quarters, whatever. ACC made the Big 12 look like Conference USA. I kind of got to agree with that, guys. Like,
I've been telling you guys this. You cannot trust the Big 12.
Right.
It's just so fucking awful. And no matter how many times I hear it year in, year out, oh, this is the best Big 12 team we've ever seen. How many times I've heard that, dude? They disappoint. I'm telling the conference is such fucking shit. Ever since Texas and even when Texas and OU was in the conference, stand, yeah, it made it better, but it still just wasn't to the standards of the Big Ten and the SEC. They're still light years behind. Light years, dude.
Yeah. I mean, Texas showed out last year, so I don't want to give them too much shit, but I don't disagree. I mean, Arizona State was really good last year, and I think that a lot of my biases about the Big 12 were just all about from Arizona State last year and seeing them saying everyone's underrated in this conference. They think they're the ACC. Well, turns out I'm wrong. The ACC might be better than the Big 12, which is terrifying if you kind of step back and think about how bad the ACC has been the last couple of years. Holy fuck. Yeah, just very scary. But yeah, Caveman following up saying it more with the brotherhood of the traveling pee-pee pants. Completely agree. To Iowa, the quarterback there, Gronowski, the Iowa quarterback is underrated. I agree. CT and I said that he's the best quarterback I've ever seen go to Iowa. Yep. He's not a starter in the NFL, but he's a great backup. I agree. Yeah, I agree. He can give you.
He's a gamer.
Yeah, he can give you 150 yards and some some rushing, and I think he can play. He's not going to be great, but yeah, I agree with that. Rudy G checking in. What's up, fellas? Panthers to the Super Bowl? Probably not. Rudy G will definitely definitely get them. Robert checking hello from Pittsburgh North Side. That's right, Pittsburgh represent. Some did cover for us. I kind of wish Loop made the kick, Robert. So a little upset there. Joey Cheese, Jules is dressed like he's an igloo. I agree. Jules, you look very cool.
It's warm.
Jules is located in Massachusetts like we all are, but apparently Jules doesn't pay for heat in his house. So I don't know.
It's paid. It's just on lower than usual. It's been a tough football season.
Oh, I see. All right. Sorry. Jules poor. And I love the CT Big 12 rate. I mean, it's hard to disagree with what CT says. All right, let's move on and get to the Bet 105 games of the week. CT,
this Monday opener episode of the Boston Handicappers Network is brought to you by Bet105.ag. With the most competitive odds in the business, go check out Bet105.ag. Be on the lookout for the Boston Handicappers' best bet on the site, where Bet105 will be boosting odds on our favorite play each and every week, while also offering -103 juice in major games all year long. Go check out the player prop section, where Bet105 is giving out -110 odds on both sides of player props during primetime NFL games as well. An absolute must for prop bettors. Bet105.ag, where the pros play.
Hell yeah, it is. And honestly, their market has been just so much better than everyone else's the last couple of weeks. It's pretty fucking crazy how much better their market has been than everyone else's.
That site's become like a staple for me. I've been firing on it a lot lately. So
there you go. See that Bet 105 logo in the corner right there. Go fucking sign up for an account, boys. Got to go get one. Best prices in the market. Let's start with college football here. 273, 274 is what that's supposed to say, but apparently I fat fingered it. 273, 274. Miami and Ole Miss. Miami currently -3, -120. There are some -110s in the market right now. 51.5 is the total. Did open a little bit higher. Miami -4, 52. There was a pretty big release today on Ole Miss by a few people. So we're sitting 3. There are a lot of 3 -110, some 3 -115, some 3 -120 in the market, but pretty much 3 across the board. I will add our trusty Paige to the stage and can see what we got going on here. Look, I'm simply going to say this, and that's the wrong one. Look at that.
I was going to say wrong game, partner.
That's one. Look at that. Already fucking up early and often. But I'll start with you, CT. What are your thoughts on this Miami Ole Miss game? And obviously we can get to it further and deep dive into it. But what are your thoughts on this one?
So kind of going back to the Ohio State game, right? I was super, super impressed. I went and said how Ohio State was just not the Ohio State that we're used to seeing, and they came out unbelievably flat, right? But with that being said, the game plan that Crystal Ball put together, and Dan, we haven't talked about this. How great was Carson Beck? I mean,
solid.
He was flawless.
Solid.
It didn't make a mistake. If you go back and you watch that whole game, did not make a mistake. It's probably the best game that I've ever seen Carson Beck play. And how about when Ohio State cuts it to 17-14. There's
Yep.
like 8.5 minutes left. And man, do you know how hard it is to put together that drive for 8.5 fucking minutes down the best defense in the country's throat and then put it in the end zone? Like, honestly, they should have just let them score earlier with the outcome that happened, because there was just no time left on the clock and they just bled the entire thing and they shoved it right up their ass. I thought Miami was brilliant in that game, and the defense is, man, they are one to fucking reckon with, because that D line is the real deal, and those pros are unbelievable. They will put you on your ass. And I think Chambliss could be in for a pretty long game. Like, we watched Ole Miss all year, right? They've been great, and they're going to get theirs. But I just think that this game comes down to the trenches, where that D line is going to really, really cause a lot of problems for the O-line for Ole Miss, and like for Chambliss to be kind of scrambling like he's used to. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with it. Like, we talked about it, Jules, a lot this year. Like, that Georgia D wasn't Georgia's D. Like, we knew all year long that, like, that just wasn't a Georgia team. That wasn't a Kirby team.
We tried to tell you, Jules, that Georgia defense is just not the same.
It just wasn't.
No,
and we all kind of knew it.
Yeah.
But it's just, you get the Georgia logo next to the name, and a lot of people, sometimes including myself, you kind of get lost in it. With that being said, I lean Miami right now at this point in time. Gave you guys a little CT parlay special yesterday, so I have some Miami money line right now to close out something. But I didn't make a bet on the game, Dan. I just think this is going to be a tall task for Ole Miss, especially with, like, I get it, Golden. He's been the D coordinator there all year. He's taken over. He's done a great job these first couple games. But now it's like, okay, it's so wild. They had to fix this between the portal and now the coaches that are leaving, going to LSU. They don't know who's going to be there anymore. It's just kind of a whole clusterfuck. And now LSU, that job for these guys, takes precedent over the semifinals, which is insane. And it's just not fair to the Ole Miss kids, in my opinion. I think it's got to be changed. Hopefully they'll find a way to resolve that. But right now, looking at this, Dan, like, I trust Carson Beck. I really do. You can kind of see it in his eyes, even though he looks like a complete moron. He was brilliant in that Ohio State game. And I think that he's poised to make a run here. And I expect them to fully be in the national championship. With all that being said, I'm not ready to give out a play on the game. Lean the Miami side.
All right, Jules, over to you.
Yeah, I like Miami too. We'll wait on a play, but I think Miami's defense is going to be stronger. Than be able to force Ole Miss's offense into more mistakes or limit more drives than vice versa. And Caveman said it right there in the comments. Miami hasn't faced an offense this dynamic. Ole Miss hasn't faced a defense this dominating, and I totally agree with that, which makes for a great semifinal game to go to the national championship. Trinidad Chambliss really impressed me in the Georgia game. I know Georgia's defense can give up big plays, but he was just like really good. That one play where he caught the snap left-handed and got the bomb awesome down the left sideline, like, that's very composed. That's a very good offense. But I think that Miami will be able to limit them in ways that other teams haven't so far. That D line is going to be a problem. And I think Miami, who hasn't put up points so far, they didn't need many to get by Texas A&M. They were in a rock fight with Georgia and with Ohio State. I'm mixing up all my teams with Ohio State, and did a great job. They're going to need to score more points to win this game, but I think they can when they need to. And I think the Ole Miss defense will allow them to. Georgia still put up a heck of an offensive game. I know they got a defensive touchdown to really swing things early, but Ole Miss's offense was better, but Georgia still had a good offensive game, and I think Miami will too. So a little bit more to dig into this one, but I think the difference maker or the key matchup in the game is absolutely the Miami D line against Ole Miss's offensive line, and Chambliss, and what type of pressure they can get on him and get him to speed them up a tiny bit more than Georgia could, and it might look a little bit different.
So I definitely agree. I mean, look, I think there's no doubt about it that this is going to be the most difficult, speed-filled, nasty, downright physical defensive line that Ole Miss has faced this year. And there's no doubt that Miami is going to cause havoc that Chambliss just really hasn't faced all that much this year. The other side of this, and I think that a big side that really no one is talking about in this game, is early in that game, Georgia was moving the ball efficiently right down the throat of that Ole Miss defense, running the ball effectively. They were running the ball around 7.4 yards per carry in the first quarter. I mean, they were as efficient.
Georgia's running back injuries hurt them late in that game too.
Yeah, see, I don't agree. I think it was more the play calling. They stopped running the ball out of the second half, and even when they did, it was outside zone. It wasn't down the middle. It was a very different type of play calling scheme that they decided to go with second half. We know Miami. We know exactly what they're going to fucking do. They're going to run it down your fucking throat. They're going to take that offensive line and they're going to move those Ole Miss defensive line players, and they're moving around. I mean, they got really banged up in that Georgia game. They had 2 injuries in that game on the defensive line. I think this is just going to be a fucking Fletcher game. Shove it right up their fucking nose. Run after run. Wear them down. By the end of the fourth quarter, I don't think it's even a competitive game anymore. I think Miami probably beats them in that way. Again, I haven't made a bet in this game either, but that's kind of what I'm trending towards. And I do think maybe you're looking at some Fletcher rushing props as well.
Yeah.
I just think that that's the way they're going to do it. And that's been kind of the key to success for Beck is, the passing game off that power rush game. It's what they did versus Ohio State. It's what they've done in these big games all year. It's what they did versus Notre Dame early in the year. And just, they kind of got away from that in the Louisville game. I think that's what they do in this game. I think they kind of stick with that. I think Cristobal goes back to his roots there. Power run game, force Ole Miss to make a stop or two, control the ball game, and really speed up Chambliss and make that, turn them into a team there where they can't utilize Kawan Lacey the way they want to, and they have to throw the ball downfield. And I think that's a real recipe for disaster for Ole Miss. So I'm definitely leaning Miami. Haven't bet them yet. We are seeing threes flat. Maybe I'll bet some 3. 2.5 is a possibility. If that's the case, I'll definitely bet 2.5. But again, just taking a look at what Miami has done this year offensively, they were terrible in EPA per rush, and even the success rate was terrible, but they figured something out late in the year and early in the year, and they just kind of stopped doing in the middle of the year, and they have just been downright nasty. I think Fletcher is going to kind of continue that, what they did versus Texas A&M, what they did versus Ohio State. I think that's going to kind of continue in this game. And they found an identity going into playoffs, and man, that's pretty important. So I like the way that things are trending in that direction there. Anything else for you guys before we move on to the next one?
I think it's a good matchup for the Canes. Like,
I do too.
I really do. I think that they're going to be, in my opinion, I think Ohio State has really good running backs, and they were able to shut that down. And I think that they're going to be able to have a good game plan to shut Lacey down and kind of make Chambliss one-dimensional. And I think that could be a problem.
Agreed. All right, let's head over to the next game, because I do have a play in this one. I think probably some of us do. Indiana, 275-276. Indiana, Oregon. Right now, Indiana, a 4-point favorite over about 105. 46.5 is the total currently sitting. We have seen some movement in the past 25 minutes or so, where we've seen some 3.5s, basically mainly pop for Indiana. There are some 4s out there, but either way, Jules, I'll start with you on this one. You guys go. You want us to go? Okay, fine.
You guys go.
Okay, CT, I'll start with you then, and I'll go, and I will go to Jules. Where are you headed in this game?
So I will say this, right? When these two teams played earlier in the year, I think it was in October, Oregon was a 7-point favorite, I believe.
14.5 was the 14.5 was the opening number. It closed
preseason. Game of the year was 14.5. Yep. That was a 7-point spread.
Yeah,
7-point line.
7.5, 8. Yeah.
I was on the Ducks there. Totally was wrong on that game. Signetti and IU go into Eugene, and then they were better, and they were meaner, and kind of that was Lanning kind of struggling in those big games. I think that as impressive as IU was versus Alabama, I think this is going to be a much different game. And I don't think that the Ducks are getting as much credit as they deserve for the Texas Tech win. what I mean by that is everybody just is saying how terrible Texas Tech was, how they couldn't score. Well, no one's really talking about how good Oregon's defense was. And like, that was a really, like, even though they, what, Jules, you said they actually scored 9 natural points, right? If you look at it that way, I mean, Texas Tech defense was unbelievable. That was what made that team all year long. And for what Oregon did to shut out Texas Tech, everybody's just talking about how bad Texas Tech was, and no one's saying that Oregon did anything right. And I disagree. I think they did a lot of things right. I think Dante Moore is going to have a lot better of a game here versus IU. And I think that this is going to be a totally different ball game than what we saw earlier in the year. Indiana was great, Dan, but everybody that I've talked to going into this game is like, oh my God, IU's a machine. They're an alien. They're going to curb stomp Oregon. Well, yeah, I mean, let's wait a little bit and let's play this game here. This is a 4-point line for a reason. And I think, Dan, we talked about this yesterday. Signetti's a dog, right? I mean, you could see it in his eyes. He's a fucking lunatic.
No doubt.
Okay, that's for sure. But what he's been doing is he taking his eye off the ball a little bit this week. I mean, he's out there stealing 4-star and 5-star recruits everywhere when he's supposed to be gearing up to play on Friday night. And I get it. He's got guys that does that for him and stuff. But let's not get I think we're getting a little too carried away with how dominant Indiana was against a Bama team that I was high on. And towards the end of the year, kind of came back. I was like, you know what? This Bama team is one-dimensional, and they don't deserve to be there. I liked OU in that game. I didn't think Bama deserved to win that game. They got lucky there. I think that Lanning's going to finally put together a good game plan and a good performance in a big game that we're not used to seeing. And Dante's going to be a lot better. And, man, he's got weapons. You didn't really see it versus Texas Tech. But I also think that they were keeping some stuff in the holster. And they weren't showing everything because they didn't have to. We can get a big effort out of Oregon here. We seeing a 4 right now, Dan, for Bet 105?
Yeah, 4 Bet 105 right now.
Okay, we're going to go with the Ducks +4. Go play for CT.
All right. I'm going to join you here, CT. I'm going to add on. I'm going to take Oregon 4. I've been very critical of Oregon this year. Feel very, very critical of Oregon. And I think rightfully so. I think, a lot of times I think they've been overvalued by markets just because of what they've done and how people react. And, again, I think that people just got way too crazy with the offense early in the year. Like, the offense was ridiculous. But again, they faced no one early on. I mean absolutely fucking no one. They really didn't. But that being said, like, as the year went on, they were a different sort of team. They kind of changed from just being throw it down your throat to run it down your throat. And I'm going to tend to disagree a little bit with CT here. Okay. I don't think Ohio State had very good running backs. I think they had a good running back in Bo Jackson, but I don't even think he was that good at times. I think he got too east and west instead of north and south sometimes. And I think, the other kid they had from West Virginia, Donaldson, I think he was just I think he sucks. That's my personal opinion. I'm not very high on him. Then I saw what they did last week. And again, Bama had no run game. So you knew coming in that Bama wasn't going to be able to run the football. And I said the only way you're going to be able to beat Indiana is if you run the football, control the game. I think that that's what Oregon can do. And while I don't love Oregon as a team, and I think they've been highly overrated and overvalued this year, and Indiana, vice versa, I think Indiana's been undervalued at times, which is why I've been so high on them. This is a matchup where I do think that Oregon will be able to run the ball a little bit. And I do think that setting up to run create some play action situations for Moore. He wasn't great last week. I agree. I'm going to say something that I think a lot of people are going to disagree with, and that's totally fine. I think Texas Tech has a better defense than Indiana. I don't think that that's outrageous because of the players that they have. Individually, they may not be as good and stout on the defensive line, but the back end, I think, is phenomenal. I think the linebacking crew is probably the best in the country. And you're kind of facing a very different type of defense where you're going to be set at the line. If Oregon's offensive line can just win 50% of the time, I think they win this game, not easily, but I think they win this game handily. And you kind of take a look at the other side of the coin here. What has Indiana been able to do the last couple weeks, and especially through the whole year, to win the game? Mendoza won the Heisman. I know he's going to be the number one pick. He's not deserving of that. I'm sorry. I don't think that Fernando Mendoza is going to go into the NFL and be a great quarterback. Could be wrong. Hand up if I am. I'm wrong all the fucking time. So just chalk up another one there. But the reality is, I think what's going to end up happening is Indiana's been able to run the ball effectively the last couple of weeks, and that's been, setting up what they've been able to do downfield with Cooper, with Surratt. Like, they've been able to do that stuff. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. What does Oregon do? They're the number 2 team in the country in stopping the run. I mean, that's what their fucking bread and butter is defensively. And I know their success rate defensively has not been great. It's like 63rd, 65th, 63rd in the country, but that's what they've done the second half of the year, the latter half of the year. They've fucking been stout against the run. So Indiana's going to try and run the football. I think Oregon's going to be committed to stopping them. And all of a sudden, we're going to see Fernando Mendoza have to air the ball out. This is what happened in the Penn State game, and it almost lost them the game. I think we see a very similar type game plan here. They were able to abuse Oregon in Eugene. I don't think Dan Lanning took them seriously. I think Dan Lanning thought that team was a fucking joke. And I've said it numerous times. I think Dan Lanning is a fucking moron. That being said, I think that Dan Lanning, the one thing that Lanning does do is he doesn't let the same thing happen to him twice. He always adjusts. And he did that with Ohio State last year. Even though they lost that second game, he put a lot of good adjustments in. I think Ohio State was just way too talented. I don't think they're going to let the same thing happen to them. They got embarrassed in Eugene this year. I think this is a revenge spot for them. I think they're going to be hyped to play this game. Obviously, both teams will be hyped for to play this game, but a little something extra. Signetti's been talking. I hate guys who just fucking talk. And Signetti hasn't been that guy. And all of a sudden, he can't shut the fuck up. Yep. So I have some very large growing concerns with the way that Indiana is going to play this game. I still think it's a one-score game. I will take Oregon and the points, and I do believe that this is going to be an extremely tight game. I have Oregon winning the game, made the game Indiana -3, but I think Oregon finds a way to win. That being said, whatever you want to do, I'll take Oregon +4. Jules, over to you.
All right. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills over here.
Okay.
Oregon is good. I'm not going to go with the Dan of I don't see this game being competitive late or whatever it is, but
I was right about half of that last time.
Yeah. Look, I think that I was not very impressed with Oregon last week. I disagree with CT's take of what Oregon did well versus what Texas Tech didn't do well. And it's what was the final score? 22-0 or whatever. When that's the final score, it's a little bit of both. It's not one person's right and one person's wrong. But Lanning made some bad decisions in that game to even just give Texas Tech any life. Like, he had chances to put points on the board and elected to go for it on 4th downs and was stopped. They had some other questionable calls. And because of how bad Texas Tech was offensively, they handed a lot of those points to Oregon. There was the late touchdown, which that can be worth whatever you want it to be worth. The offense gave up 7 points when Oregon finally did score its first touchdown of the game. Texas Tech's defense was really good. Maybe Texas Tech's defense is better than Indiana's defense. I don't know. And I don't know if we'll find out. But is Indiana a machine? No, because we saw them flirt with disaster against a Penn State team that turned out to be not very good at all. So they're by no means bulletproof. But Signetti's been talking for a while. He's been talking since his press conference. Keeps winning. I don't think there's anything different this week about him talking that's going to make it different than any other week.
He's talking a lot more this week, Jules.
He's
won't shut
the whole time. I don't think you're going to get to this stage and then get distracted because you blow out Alabama for your first playoff win.
Distraction isn't the way I put it. I think that he's gone from being I think he's the best coach in the country. Let me get that out there right now. He's the best coach in the country. But let me just say this. He is not who he was a couple months ago, Jules. He just keeps talking. Yeah. Yes. Google me. I know the quotes. I get it. And it's who he was last year. but he was never talking to the media this much and talking about how good his team is all the fucking time. And just, oh, we're this, oh, we're that, oh, I've done this, oh, this is different. He's really ramped it up the last couple of weeks. I'm not saying it's going to be a distraction. I'm just saying he's starting to become like he sounds like someone from San Francisco who thinks his farts don't stink. South Park reference for anyone who doesn't understand that.
So yeah, I don't think it's by any means a bad spot for Oregon or anything. They have the revenge angle for the home loss. Just I don't know if that offense is gonna. The offense didn't show much against Texas Tech. Maybe CT's right and they hid some stuff. I just wasn't impressed with Oregon. I don't think Oregon's going to be able to put together much better of a game offensively. Maybe a little better, but not much better. And again, I don't want too much of this to be reaction to the Alabama game, but I think Indiana's pretty locked in and relatively spot proof. I think they're very good.
They're good. I thought they were great. It's just
Dan. I'm surprised with because Dan is going from a team that he has talked down all season and a coach he doesn't like to a team that he's loved all season and a coach that he does like and going on the side.
It's the overcorrection theory, right? Like I was higher on Indiana than everyone else and their mother, and I was lower than Oregon on everyone else and their mother. And now you got to meet somewhere in the middle, right? So
yeah. So again, this is by no means an easy handicap. I don't think. I think it looks easy to some people with Indiana, and Indiana will be the public side. That said, I'm going to have Indiana in some form or fashion by the time this kicks off. I don't love laying 4. I've already started like CT did with Miami. I have 2 other like -3, 400 pieces that have come through for me that I've tied to Indiana money line. I like Indiana in the game. I think they're the better team. I think that they will be ready. And Dan, you mentioned Lanning kind of revamping for these spots. Just one off the top of my head. They lost at Washington by 3 points the Penix year. And then they were a 7, 8, 9, 10-point favorite to Washington on a neutral in Vegas in the Pac-12 title game.
Yep.
And Oregon got mopped off the field. Lanning was not ready for that bounce back spot. That's 2 seasons ago. That's not that long ago.
That's a fair point.
And how many can we come up with over the past season? Because they don't lose much and have to come back against that team.
But I'll say this, and Caveman mentioned earlier. So, what happened last year? But they had a very different game plan versus Ohio State last year. The problem was in that rematch versus Ohio State. They went into Eugene when Ohio State went into Eugene last year. Ohio State thought they were going to fucking wipe them. Okay, they thought they were better, stronger, faster, whatever, and they played the speed game and they couldn't do it. What Ohio State did effectively in that game, though, was they played the play action perfectly. Then Ryan completely adjusted last year in the playoffs, and they didn't do that at all. And they were fucking fantastic. They didn't need the play action, and Will Howard killed them. That's not Lanning's fault, but they were ready when they did utilize the play action. It was very different. I think, and I'm the lowest on the lowest Lanning guy, but can't we say the same for Cristobal, right? Cristobal just fucking went into Ohio State and fucking made Ryan Day his fucking personal bitch. Like what do you want? Like sometimes the coaching doesn't ultimately matter as much as we think it does. And sometimes bad coaches, who I do think I'm not a Lanning guy, but I think sometimes they do kind of be able to put things together. I am a little worried about the way that Indiana is going to approach this game. I think that now they've turned into Ohio State a little bit. We're better than everyone. We're faster than everyone. We're stronger than everyone. That doesn't fucking work in college football. It never has and never will. So I think they're going to get just humbled a little bit. I'm not saying they won't win, but I think Oregon's going to be a lot better. And again, like Dante Moore was terrible last week. He was horrible. He's a top 5 protected NFL pick this year. I think he's going to be better next week. Or this week. He
might be. Texas Tech's defense was really good. I just think Indiana's defense is close enough to Texas Tech that
they're different. It's different defense.
It's different for sure. But Oregon's defense is going to have to, like, I don't want to say shut down, but hold Indiana to 20, 21 points if they want to win. If it starts getting above that, are they going to be able to keep up? I think that Oregon
can fucking score.
I think we also, we're talking way too long on.
I agree.
Games, but
we can move on. I like Indiana. I think
I just think we also need to remember, Dan, too, that Indiana barely just beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. And I think Ohio State played a worse game in the Big Ten championship than they played against Miami. And Ryan kind of was sleepwalking through that game in the second half, too, and really didn't give a shit. So I think we're getting a little carried away with the Hoosiers here.
Yeah. By the way, this is the one thing I am concerned about. To Oregon's defensive coordinator, Tasha Lupoy, becomes Cal head coach. He did say he is not focusing on Cal at all until the end of the playoffs. I'll just say that. And a caveman, name the good deed that Oregon beat. Well, they beat Iowa, and then they fucking beat Washington, and Washington sure as fuck almost beat Ohio State. So let's not forget that game either. Just saying. Let's fucking move on to the NFL.
Yeah, let's hit the pod on Wednesday. Let's hit a few of these.
Let's get a few of these. All right, 375, 376. Rams and Panthers. Bit a revenge angle here from the regular season game where the Panthers beat the Rams outright when the Rams were streaking. Right now, this number is sitting 1046. Not much movement on this one. Did have a bit of a we had a hitman release, Tom the hitman on the Rams today, but still hasn't moved the market that much. Anything that you guys like in this one? I don't really like anything in this game. We can talk more about it Wednesday.
Go ahead, Joel. Sorry.
Okay. I don't have a play in this game. I don't know if I will have a play in this game. Same numbers last time. It was 10 when the Rams went there. Carolina won by 3. Rams were 7-1 at home this season. They were just 5-4 on the road, which I find interesting. Rams last 7 trips to Carolina. I'm just throwing numbers at you, really. Rams last 7 trips to Carolina. They're 1-6 ATS. That goes back a little bit. Panthers are, sneaky covering numbers at home. Going back to last season, they're 10-4 against the spread. Last 14 home games, you're getting 10.5 here. I'm not laying 10 with the Rams. I'll tell you that. There very much could be the revenge. The Rams are the better team. I expect them to win the game, but I'm not laying double digits with them here. They kind of limped to the finish line a little bit until they broke out second half against Arizona in somewhat of a meaningless game.
They still sucked in that game, by the way. They were
that was a weird breakout. That score is a little deceiving.
Yeah, I agree. And it does look like we've seen moved to 10.5. There are still some 10s.
There's plenty of
Circus still 10K, man. So
Circus 10, MGM's 10.
Westgate's 10. Yeah, there's plenty of 10s. Plenty of 10s.
Plenty of 10s out there. And this is, Dan, usually, as you guys both know, usually wild card weekend is like dogs are great this weekend. This is the one game that I actually have a pretty strong lean to the favorite. I think this game might get out of hand. We saw yesterday how bad the Rams played and were losing the game. Looked like they might lose outright, and all of a sudden they flip a switch and they're up 14 in a matter of 5 minutes. Revenge game, like you said. I think Carolina put it all on the fucking their nuts on the table. Still lost to Tampa Bay. Think this is just way too big of a spot here. Don't give a shit that it's at home. I think Stafford and McVay go in there and kind of embarrass them.
All right. Let's move on to 377, 378 Bears and Packers. This one's sitting right now. Pick them in the market, although we've actually moved again, another move there in the past 25 minutes. See Green Bay +1, -111, Chicago -1, -101, a 2% difference on the money line, -108 to -106. Total right now sitting 45.5, a little bit move off 46, fellas. So we have seen some movement on this one. CT, I'll start with you because I know you have a decent thought on this game.
Yeah, I got to play in this game. It's crazy that I gave out Packers over 9.5 wins this year, and they ended the year on a 4-game losing streak, unfortunately, and we don't cash that one. So I apologize to anybody that tailed. It was just a second half of brutal injuries for this team. But last week, Dan, was pretty much a bye week for this team because they rested everybody. Jordan Love cleared protocol. He's going to be back. Micah Parsons not going to be back, obviously. Tucker Kraft's not going to be back. But this team, I think, got some rest that they much needed. And, Dan, before we went on air, you and I were talking, and I said we kind of got a glimpse of a Bears team that kind of came back to life a little bit, right? I mean, the Lions dominated that game, pretty much 3/4 of that game. And Bears ended up tying it, still kind of put it all on the table, trying to win that game, and still couldn't get it done versus a Lions team that is not going to the playoffs. So I think the magic in the last, 2-3 minutes of the games for the Chicago Bears has finally come to an end. And I trust Matt LaFleur. I think that Matt LaFleur is probably coaching for his job. I think that if he loses this game, there's a good chance he's not back in Wisconsin next year. And I think we're going to see a really big effort from Jordan Love, kind of what we saw at the beginning of the year. And if they let him sling it and those wide receivers make some grabs like they can, I mean, there's 6-7 of them that are all capable of catching long balls. And I think that this Bears D could be in for a long day. Look what Brock Purdy and the Niners just did to this Bears defense, a week and a half ago? Like, they are very vulnerable, and they could get shredded. And I think that Caleb Williams is going to have a tough time, even though that Packers D is banged up. If they're going to be able to, if they could stop the run, which I think they can, if they could stop the run, then I think it's going to be really tough for the Bears to get what they want to happen in that game. So we're going to go with the Pack. We're going down with the ship, guys. Packers +1. That's a show play.
Like the comment here from the Wallace Poster, catching balls like Diddy. I would tend to agree in that situation. Jules, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds crazy with the Packers on a 4-game losing streak, but that 4-game losing streak was, they let go of the rope in Denver. But CT mentioned the bye that they're on. I mean, they rested everybody. They did not care whatsoever in Minnesota. They're on almost, I don't want to say an extended bye, but they've had guys out for a while, and they've all been resting up kind of for this moment. They clinched their playoff spot a couple of weeks ago. So while they still don't want to lose games, they weren't as incentivized to win them. And they've held a lot of guys out for more than a game. It was just everybody last week. So I think the Bears' 2-game losing streak is equally, if not more, concerning, because we saw them lose real games that they were going all out to win for seeding. And at one point in time, alive for the 1 seed in the bye. Niners, obviously, as we made mention to, put up a ton of points on them. And then the Lions just gave them everything they could handle and won a game in Chicago. So I think the Packers getting guys back, this is going to look like the Packers team from, a month ago when their last win was a home game against the Bears. And they pretty much beat the Bears in Chicago a couple weeks later until madness ensued. CT mentioned the late game magic. Maybe that's going away for the Bears. I agree. So I'm going to wind up on the Packers here. I'll save it for the show because we'll see where this goes. It's not going to get away from any point where you can play it. I don't think you have to rush. And, if this becomes 1.5 for the Packers, because the public is betting the Bears. Last I looked, this is like 75% Bears money. If this can be a 1.5, I'm very interested in teasing Green Bay to 7.5.
There it is. Knew it was coming.
Well, in a play, because this has to be a 1-possession game. Third time meeting up since December 7th. This is the third time meeting since December 7th. This isn't getting run away from anybody.
Fair enough. I too like Green Bay, fellas. Not exactly a big shocker there, but I am definitely on the Green Bay side of things. Look, I think having some rest, and I said this extensively the last couple of weeks, I think rest is really important the final couple of weeks of the season. I think getting a guy like Josh Jacobs an extra week of rest to get that knee right, imperative. I think not putting Jordan Love out there on a concussion, imperative. I think the backup wide receivers, getting them some rest, important. Getting the defensive line some rest, important. I look down the line. Not to mention, I've really hated how the Chicago Bears have looked the last couple of weeks. Defensively, take a look at what the Niners did to them. They just fucking shredded them. Now, they attack different ways than Green Bay does, obviously. Different types of personnel they like to run. But the reality is here, this is absolutely a great spot for Green Bay. I also am going to say this, and I know people are going to strongly disagree with this take. And honestly, I don't give 2 fucks anymore because I'm getting kind of sick and tired of having to be PC about everything. I don't believe that Caleb Williams has the mindset to be a really good starting quarterback in a high pressure situation. I haven't seen it. He hasn't shown it to me. And while he played well this year, and I predicted it. I bet the Bears over. I bet the Bears division. I mean, you guys thought I was crazy when I said, yeah, he was going to play well this year, but show it to me in a big time situation. Show it to me when the pressure's on. Show it to me, when it doesn't matter what color your nails are. Honestly, I kind of want to see you step up and show me you have some fucking balls. I haven't seen it yet. I don't believe that he does. I think he's going to kind of be a one and done type guy. I think he's going to regress heavily. And I think we've already kind of seen that regression start a little bit. He's changed his gameplay a little bit under Ben Johnson, and all of a sudden that regression has really changed a little bit. And the way he's played has changed a little bit. I don't love it. Not saying it's going to stick. Not saying it will continue in the next year. Maybe I'm wrong, but show it to me because I don't believe it. Until then, I'll take Green Bay. It reminds me very much so of Green Bay Dallas a couple years ago where no one believed in Green Bay.
Yep.
They went into Dallas and fucking smoked them.
And
I don't think it's going to be a smoke show like that. Yeah. Divisional game, third time they're playing. Going to be different, but I do think the situation kind of reminds me a little bit of that game. I don't love Jordan Love, but I think he's pretty good. Give me Green Bay. I'll join you, CT. Fuck it. Why not? All right. Let's move on to the next game here. 379-380. Bills and Jags. Bills a 1.5 point favorite. 51.5 is the total. Small move on the sharper side. 2 of the Bills in Jacksonville. Look, I have Jacksonville rated as still the 7th highest powered team in the AFC. So I don't think a whole hell of a lot from them. But what do you guys think at this point in regards to where this Bills team is? I mean, they just dismantled the Jets with the backups. I know that doesn't mean fucking anything, but
the Jets have completely given up.
Yeah, that's kind of the point there. So, but where are you? I'll start with you, Jules. Where are you in this one?
So, I have not made up my mind on this game. When the lines popped, I said, "Wow, Buffalo laying 115 money line. That's pretty intriguing." There's the storyline of no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow, no Patrick Mahomes. There is a lot of pressure on Josh Allen to win the AFC this year. This has to be his year. That said, outside of Josh Allen and James Cook, the Bills do not have much. They don't really have pass catchers. Their defense, we've seen at times stink and get run all over by multiple teams. Buffalo went 5-3 on the road. They won 4 of their last 6. They had the big comeback in New England. Props to them. They're a decent team. The Jags were really good at home. They were 7-2 straight up and against the spread. The home losses, I think, were the Rams and Seahawks.
Oh, so the good teams.
The good teams.
The good teams.
Buffalo's a good team.
I have Buffalo on
this game. There's the wild Houston comeback to beat them, which was good for us. I know we had Houston in that game. Houston comes back and beats Jacksonville on November 9th. Since then, Jacksonville's 8-0 straight up, 8-0 against the spread. I have not decided on this game. I thought I would really like Buffalo. I still might like Buffalo, but I can't just push Jacksonville to the side like I thought I initially would.
I just want to say this, Jules, before we get too deep into this, okay? Here are the Jaguars wins at home. The Titans, okay? The Jets, yay. The Colts with Riley Leonard after Daniel Jones got hurt. The Chargers without Justin Herbert, who got hurt in that game. They got demolished by the Rams, demolished by the Seahawks. They beat the Chiefs, who turns out weren't very good. They beat the Texans at the beginning of the year, who weren't very good. And they beat the Jaguars at the beginning of the year, who weren't very good at that time. They don't really have a great win at home. I mean, the Kansas City win was fine, I guess. That's the Jaguars.
You said the Jags beat the Jags at home, who weren't really that good.
The Panthers, I said.
Panthers
and the
okay.
Texans. Panthers and the Texans. The Texans is the best win. They won that game 17-10, and that's right. When Houston was started 0-3. I mean,
right?
They were very different teams.
They also went to Denver and annihilated them too.
Sure, yeah, they absolutely did. And look, they've had points, but they've also been dog shit in big time situations over the last few years. And
so you could say the same thing about the Bills. And that's what I think makes this a hard game.
The Bills have lost to Patrick Mahomes. That's not exactly the same thing. I mean,
no. I mean this season, the Bills have.
We're talking about this year, right?
Shat the bed. Okay. The Bills have shat the bed on.
No, I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about the team in general. Trevor Lawrence in a playoff game. I mean, they should, if the Chargers former coach, who I'm fucking blanking the name on of right now, so someone's gonna have to help me here. But if the fucking coach,
never forget that game because I had the Chargers.
Yeah, me too. But if they don't fucking just completely shit the bed, and I'm blanking on the coach's name, if they don't shit the bed, Trevor Lawrence never has a fucking win in the playoffs. And
Staley?
we're talking about Brandon Staley. Thank you, K-Man. Brandon Staley. Yeah. Again, if that happens, I mean, we're talking about a very different team, and we're saying, could Trevor even win a game in the playoffs? Like, we don't fucking know anything about this team in a big time situation either. That's kind of my point. Josh Allen, despite the fact that they've lost to Mahomes over and over and over again, they beat pretty much every single other team in big time situations. They fucking kill teams like the Jags. Every fucking year, we play the same fucking game with Josh Allen. Every fucking year. It's every year. It's not 1 year or 2 years. We play the same game with the Bills. Will they, won't they? We think this is the year they're going to lose in the first round. Then they fucking demolish the first round and they lose in the AFC title game to the Bengals or the Chiefs. That's it. That's what they do pretty much every single year. Why would this be any different? It's the fucking Jaguars. It's the Jaguars. I'm sorry. Let's not overthink this.
So are you playing the Bills or what?
I'm not. Probably. I haven't played them yet, but I'll probably be on the Bills. If you try and tell me the Jags belong in this game, I think that's silly.
All right. We're going really long, so I'll just give you two. I have nothing in this game, but I'll give you a couple quick stats. Okay. Bills have never won a road playoff game under McDermott. 0-5. They haven't won a playoff game since beating Miami in the 1992 AFC Championship game. That being said, like I said, I have nothing on this game. I would rather have Josh Allen on my side. I think a big factor in this game is what James Cook shows up. If James Cook could run the ball and hold on to the ball, I think the Bills have a good shot to get the job done. That being said, got nothing. Want to see what the market does. Next.
All right. All right. 381, 382, Niners, Eagles. Niners, Eagles. Eagles a 4.5-point favorite. Big move on this one today. Did open a bunch of places, 3.5 others, 46.5, now sitting 44.5. Big move on this one. Now we're sitting 4.5. I pulled a Jules. I teased the Niners to 10.5 here. I don't know what else to say. I think that's the play. I think the Niners win the game, but I haven't bet 4.5 yet. I'm seeing if we're going to get higher. We're going to climb the 6. This is going to keep fucking going.
Yeah.
But I did tease the Niners at 10.5 today. You get the extra couple points of value. I like 10.5 as a key-ish number in the playoffs this year. So anything for you, CT?
Want to see what the market does here. I think you're going to see a totally different Niners team than you did on Saturday night. You and I were on the Seahawks on Saturday night. That game kind of went like I thought it would. Get some pieces back with Pearsall and Williams for this one on Sunday. And it's going to be a different team here. And I get it. The Eagles are a little rested. They didn't play anybody yesterday. But this Philly team, man, is as we've seen, just not the Super Bowl team that we saw last year. And they're very, very beatable. And Niners are going to keep this competitive.
Jules?
Yeah, I agree. And San Francisco has been really good on the road. 7-2 straight up, 7-2 against the spread. They've been, you could argue, better on the road. This kind of little rivalry goes back a little bit now. These two teams being NFC contenders most years and seeing each other some years. I think this will be a close game. And I've been, I agree with being down on the Eagles. They've really played down to competition at sometimes. They've really struggled offensively at times, which I think could hurt them here. So I'll absolutely be teasing San Francisco up to double digits, and I'll play them on the spread at some point before this game kicks off.
Okay. 383, 384, the game that everyone's been waiting for. Pats and Chargers currently sitting 3.5, 46. It opened 3 most places. I'm going to save my thoughts on this game for the podcast. I'll do that.
I am too.
Okay. Jules, anything for you?
Well, are we just saving it for the podcast then?
I think we should save it for the podcast.
I agree.
And make everyone listen to the podcast for the Pats thoughts. Everyone's going to be very mad.
We're giving a little too much tonight.
I agree.
Fine by me.
Agree. Finally, 385, 386. Texans and Steelers. I'll be honest with you right now. I got nothing in this game right now. Literally nothing. I do expect to have something in this game eventually. But right now, I have nothing. Probably be a prop game for me.
I'm kind of the same as you. I expect to have something in this game. Right now, nothing. It was impressive. I will say, you guys know I like to shit on Rodgers. It was impressive what he did without DK last night and those wide receivers that he had, and some of those balls he threw. It reminded me of the old days. It's wild how he's still fucking doing it right now, and he looks old, man. Old.
He does. He looks old as fuck.
But that being said, I'll eventually have something here.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to go against the Steelers saying they don't belong. They did wind up winning 4 of their last 5, beating Baltimore twice. They're 6-3 at home this year. So I just wouldn't be too automatic to rush to Houston like I think everyone will. But at the same time, Pittsburgh's coming off a huge game, and you got to turn around and play a really good defense. I'm not sold on that side either.
Yep. I'm not.
All right. Diggs over
prop.
under 50.5. Jules, prop shop. What are you thinking?
I have not gotten to the prop shop yet, but Diggs shows up in the primetime games. You look, his big games have all been night games against legit competition. So this is a game maybe where a guy that we've seen play half the snaps, we see that number go up potentially. And yeah, I think Diggs will be involved in this game. So I don't, just eyeballing it, I don't hate that look at all.
All right, fair enough. Love when Dan yells at his friends over sports. That's my fucking that's what I do, baby. That's all I do. That's my fucking job.
Little housekeeping, little announcement. Yep. We're not sure where it's going to be, but the live shows are coming back. We're going to do a few more through March Madness, and the next one is going to be Saturday, February 7th, I believe, the day before the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I have to set up where we're having it, but it will be somewhere obviously around here in the Boston area, and we will have more details soon.
That's right. And we'll do one in March as well. And then probably we're going to try and do one in April. Maybe we'll do one in April for the March Madness Final Four. Yeah, it seems like a good idea to do a Final Four show. And then that will probably be it.
Yeah. Until
I move to South Carolina, and then I'll come back for a live show. So we'll come back. We'll continue to do them. They're not going anywhere. I'll be back. So, anyways, that's it. Long show tonight. Over an hour and 5 minutes. A little bit long for us. Talked a lot of in depth on a couple of these games, especially college football. We'll talk more in depth again on Wednesday night. The podcast will be available for everyone to listen to Thursday afternoon. Big thanks again to Viva Tequila Seltzer. Go buy some fucking Viva. And of course, bet105.ag. Best place for odds in the marketplace. Appreciate everyone for watching. Ton of comments, ton of support. Appreciate everyone showing up. And we will talk to you again Thursday podcast live. Monday, I think probably a Monday opener next week, although not 100% sure. So check the Twitter, but either Monday or Tuesday opener. Connor, I'm leaving the great state of Massachusetts because it's cold as fuck and I don't like it. So there you go. Simple as that. Anyways, that is it for us. Hope everyone has a great rest of your week. Let's catch some fucking tickets, and we'll talk to you Thursday. See ya.